So I've been thinking about this topic for a moment. Now, if you were thinking that this video was going to be a side-by-side comparison or something along the lines of getting into the details, the statistics, the numbers, the games, that's not going to be this. Those videos exist somewhere, and they probably do a much better job of that side of that part of it. I kind of want to take a different approach to it, and I think it's an approach that a lot of people don't generally look at because Game Pass and PS Now offer two entirely different services, though they are looked at the same as if one's better than the other and the other's just kind of a washed down version of the better one, depending on your side of things, of course. But to understand what Game Pass and PS Now bring to the table, you have to really understand the business strategies of the platforms that obviously are bringing them to you. Game Pass is pushed as the gateway into the Xbox ecosystem. PS Now is pushed more as a way to enjoy the classics, right? And what I find interesting about that is usually when you hear about Game Pass and PS Now, people often look at Game Pass and tell you this is just a collection of old games. Why would I get an Xbox just to have Game Pass and play old Xbox games? When in reality, Game Pass does the exact opposite of that. Game Pass, again, offers you those day one exclusives. Halo Infinite will be coming out day one. You're able to pre-download it. I literally have it pre-loaded on my console, ready to go for when it launches. And of course, it offers you things like xCloud, allowing you to stream most of the Game Pass games to your phone, your tablet, computer, etc. It offers you Xbox Live Gold, which comes with games with gold, though that's a little mediocre at this point, the games that are included with that. But when you really think about it too, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is just $5 more a month than Xbox Live Gold. So a lot of Xbox players, if you have Xbox Live Gold, even if it's not your primary console, maybe you just have Xbox Live Gold because you only use your Xbox for those social games, you might as well just have Game Pass, and you probably do. I would bet good money that majority of the Game Pass subscribers have it simply because it makes more sense than just having Xbox Live Gold. Unless, however, you're looking at Xbox Live Gold from a yearly standpoint, that's when things change. Over to the PlayStation side of things, PS Now offers you a huge back catalog of PlayStation hits from the PS3 era, and yes, you do have to stream them, I get that. Me personally, that's not an issue. I have pretty good internet on my PS5 and my PS4 Pro. I've hardly ever had issues streaming a game. The only time I wouldn't want to do it is maybe if it's a first-person shooter or something like that, something that requires some precision. Some racing games are bad, but I was actually recently playing through the Batman Arkham series, and that handles very well. Next to no input lag, maybe a few frame rate drops here and there. But of course, the bread and butter of PlayStation Now is going to be downloading the games. You have PlayStation 2 games, albeit not a good selection. The PlayStation 2 games are kind of terrible. A couple of Star Wars titles actually just got removed from the PS2 section of that as well. Kind of a bummer, but that is what it is. PlayStation 4 games, however, there's a good plethora of them, and it's an excellent way to kind of dabble into what PlayStation has to offer. And I think that's what PS Now ultimately is. Because, again, back to their business strategies, PlayStation creates these cinematic blockbuster titles. Spider-Man, The Last of Us, Uncharted, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War. All of these games have had very rich stories, typically very, very amazing visuals and music and voice acting and such. But outside of that, you don't get much else, right? Sure, Uncharted and The Last of Us offer a multiplayer experience, but you're not buying it for that. At least I'd hope not, because then you're going to be wasting your $60. PlayStation understands, I think, I'd hope, that their games don't have much replayability unless you're just a fan, right? And that's why a lot of the times the games that end up on used shelves at, let's say, a GameStop are going to probably be those PlayStation games. I can always find a cheap copy of Horizon Zero Dawn or the most recent Spider-Man game. For that reason, PlayStation Now is a little more essential when it comes to experiencing what PlayStation has to offer, even though they don't push it very well at all, and I'm pretty sure their user base is much slimmer than Game Pass. But like I said, I think the Xbox Live Gold to Game Pass ratio is probably a heavy hitter for that. So to really compare the two, I think you kind of have to decide, one, what matters to you, right? Video gaming is a hobby for most, career for some, and just an overlook of media for many more, okay? I like to compare them in the sense of viewing a movie, if that's the case, because that is the argument that I hear a lot. Game Pass is the Netflix of games, while PlayStation is the movie theater of games, I guess you could say. But which one is doing better right now? Not including the COVID stuff, ignoring all that, just in general, right? Disney themselves made their own streaming service because they realized that it is more valuable to people to give you access to everything you could ever want from them and to give you those day ones. So when you have Game Pass, because their games are more multiplayer focused, because Halo Infinite and, you know, if they have Gear 6 and whatever else comes out, typically is very, very single or multiplayer focused. Xbox almost single-handedly built what we know as online gaming. And for that reason, those games have a sense of urgency to play them. Battle passes, timed events, you know, seasonal offerings and such like that in these sort of games, they offer you a reason to play it now. It's why games like Fortnite and Warzone do so well. They are essentially free-to-play games with always something to look forward to, something new. They're always evolving, always growing. And Halo Infinite, for example, is, let's say, the most core example of that is going to be when Halo Infinite releases, you know, you're going to have the main. There's a reason why they're putting the focal point on, you know, the online portions of it. While PlayStation Now obviously doesn't give you those PlayStation exclusives day one. Even the game like Spider-Man was on PlayStation Now for a portion of time, and then they removed it. And I am convinced that that was to try and build up hype for the game again because they were probably lacking in sales. And again, I think this is when it boils down to is PlayStation Now doesn't offer you the latest and greatest. It doesn't offer you anything more than just access to a huge PlayStation library. Again, sprinkled with some third-party titles. And yes, you can play those games on PC. You can play those games, you know, stream those games on PC, your phone, tablet, etc. And I would argue ultimately, and the irony of this is because I hear quite the opposite in the comments, is if you were to buy a PlayStation for its exclusives, and let's say you're a PC gamer, for example, and you're gonna buy a PlayStation for its exclusives versus Game Pass, why would you just get PlayStation Now? Oh, well, you have to stream the games. Okay, I guess that's a solid thing. But I don't personally know any PC gamers with that bad of an internet connection. Typically, if they're putting the money into their PC, they're putting the money into their internet as well. To each his own, of course. Obviously, we're all different. So I think that's really what it is. I think you can't really compare Game Pass versus PlayStation Now because at the end of the day, they offer such different things, okay? So if you use Game Pass as your argument for Xbox, which a lot of people do, and I think that you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because Game Pass is not there to compete with PS Now, and PS Now definitely is not there. Well, actually, I think PS Now is there to compete with Game Pass. I think PlayStation doesn't really have an end goal with what PS Now was meant to be for. They just knew that Game Pass was there and offering games to play, right? Game Pass was there and offering a back catalog. Game Pass was there offering the hits of Xbox, so that's what they did. But Game Pass has obviously evolved from that. Game Pass is now your portal into the Xbox ecosystem. I would argue it really is the Xbox ecosystem. While PlayStation Now is kind of this throwaway experience, subscribe to it if you really want to play those games. There are a lot of games on the service that I don't have physical copies for. So playing those games, the easiest and quickest and simplest way is to, stream them onto the PlayStation 5 or 4 using PS Now. I guess to give a definitive answer on which one would be better or which one has more value, I would still argue Game Pass brings the most value to what you're getting, right? You need Xbox Live to play online games, the same way you need PlayStation Plus to play online games. You probably are going to want to play a lot of the games coming up from Xbox. The studios that they're buying, the games that they are having in development. I mean, we've only seen a third of the games. I would say we've only seen a third of the games announced that they have in the works. That's just my gut feeling. That's just what I think. PlayStation, I think, has more or less laid everything on the table, which is a very, very sad. Yes, they're very great games, but $70 when it'll probably be $20 a year later. I bought Spider-Man a year later, or 9 months later, for $20 at my local Best Buy. All DLC included. A lot of the games that I never got to play, I just recently beat The Last of Us just last month, and it was due to PlayStation Plus collection on the PS5. I never got to play Horizon Zero Dawn, but I gave it a dabble on PlayStation Now. And for that reason, this whole argument of PS Now is better and PlayStation exclusives are better doesn't hold much merit when those games are probably going to end up in a bargain bin down the line anyway. While Xbox games with Game Pass offer you not only the day one offerings, but offer you the sense of urgency. And I think that's the big difference here is Xbox, because it's multiplayer focused, offers you, a reason to play it now. And that's what Game Pass is focused around is these are the games now, you get to play them, here's our hits. The selling point of Xbox anymore, or not, going forward, won't be as much of the console, of the box. And I think PlayStation's starting to recognize this. I think PlayStation knows that they need to make changes, and I think that those changes will be coming. And I think this whole PS Now versus Game Pass debate will be a lot more compelling once PlayStation announces whatever their competitor to Game Pass is going to be, simply because PS Now is not it. PlayStation Now should not be compared to Game Pass because Game Pass is on a different level. And I think that level is above what PS Now has to offer. So, anyway, I know that was a little bit of a rant, just kind of off the top of my head there, but those are my thoughts on it as of right now. I think comparing the two is ridiculous going forward until PlayStation announces what they need to do, what their plan is going forward. So, it is what it is. Anyway, subscribe, and I will be doing more polls on different topics whenever I'm stuck on what I wanted to talk about. Game Pass versus PS Now wasn't really something I wanted to talk about, but it was something I thought about, and it was kind of out in the open. I'm actually impressed with how many people wanted to hear about it, and I really hope that after watching this video, if you did watch it through the end, you kind of understand now that there really isn't a reason to do a versus on those two, because as it stands right now, they're on different levels. They're on different playing fields, honestly. I think they're playing different sports at this point. So, that is what it is. But anyway, yeah, community tab is now open, so I will be trying to post and interact there with you guys. So make sure you subscribe to be a part of that. And like I said, once I hit that 1,000, I got a special thing coming. So make sure you subscribe to be eligible for that event. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.